Good morning, everybody. How are you? Thank you, Muhia. Today we'll talk about chapter 4 and chapter 5. I hope you've seen chapter 3, and I hope you have seen the class discussion by using presentation whiteboard. Now, in chapter 2, we did the limits and we used how to find derivatives by using first principles. Then we concluded from that, we did some deductions, as you can see in your PowerPoint presentation that is in your files now, in your teams, that it took us easily to chapter 3. In chapter 3 last time we talked about all the basic derivatives. Now let's put these derivatives together. We have some methods. Let's start with some example like that. All right. What is the derivative of the function y when you have square root of x minus cosine the angle? The same thing, but the derivative of y when it's equal to square root of x times cosine. So what do you notice the difference between them? They are the same, exactly the same. That one has multiplication and that one has subtraction or addition. When we see any two functions or three functions, there is minus or plus, we just behave like chapter 3. Do each one separately, and that's it. That's why we call these sum or difference of two functions. But when it comes to this, there's a method for that. All right? So let's try to show you that, and then we can look at that one later on. The derivative of this, what's the derivative of square root of x? You all know, and I told you, and I went and deducted for you. It's better if you remember the derivative of that 1 over 2 times multiply is not square root. It's 2 times square root of x, and I deduced it for you. Type. Because there's in between minus, I put a minus. What's the derivative of cosine? We all know it's a minus sign. What is the angle here? Whatever inside the bracket. And what is the derivative whatever inside the bracket? 3x squared, 6x, and minus 2, 0. So I can put a minus 0. These are the steps of doing each one. Can I put it simple form? Yeah, sure. Let me simplify it. 1 over 2 square root of x minus 3 minus plus 6x times that one. So 6x times sine 3x minus 2. You cannot leave it without a bracket. If you leave it without bracket, you are reclaiming that the angle is only 3x. No, I want the whole angle, so I better make sure that it's between the bracket. The 6x is the derivative of whatever inside the bracket. So whatever inside the bracket, its derivative is taken out. Whatever it is. That's why it's called chain rule. All right? Now, is this the same? Is the structure the same? No. There's a multiplication here. Product, something times something. So let me show you how we do it. And then I can show you a rule that maybe you would like it. What's the derivative of the first? 1 over 2 square of x times whatever the second, زي ما هو, is the same. So derivative of the first times the second plus, what is the derivative of the second? Minus 6x cosine, oops, sine 3x squared minus 5. This is called derivative of the second times what? Square of x. So if I would like to summarize for you, derivative of the first, can I call the first u times the second? So we have two functions. One of them is called u of x and the other one is called v of x. So if I would like to do it, I will do this, the derivative of the first times the second as it is v. Look at the v. التاني من فوق. Look at the U. الدنب from down. Plus derivative of the second. V times the first. Some people like to write rules for them, but anyway, it helps you to see, but it doesn't mean you should always take it down. خليني أحفظ. You don't need to do all of this. So guys, you can tell the difference now. If there are two functions here, or 3 or 4, add and plus, you just teach it, or you just treat it as normal. Function plus a function minus a function, do each one separately. حتى لو أنا حطيت لكم, even if I put something here, let's say 5 plus. That's a linear function, a straight line. And y equals 5 is a horizontal line. So what's the derivative of the 5? 0. Plus, because it's a plus here. So no matter what's the question, as far as you have add and subtract, don't worry about it. When we see two functions are multiplied, this is called, in English, using the product rule. And the product rule simply, if u equals u times y equals u times v, derivative of y with respect to x, derivative of the first times the second plus derivative of the second times the first. That's called product rule. Let's do one more example. This video is only given صراحة, honestly, for you if you missed a class, but I still have the presentation. It's live recorded and we do it 2 days, Sunday and Monday. That's chapter 4. Sunday and Monday we'll be doing normal chapter 3, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we will go through extensively chapter 3, 4 and 5. All right, so let's have one more example here, applying the product rule. Number 2, f of x, just write any function comes to your mind, e to the power. That's one function. Times tangent 3x minus 5. All right? You can tell there is no minus and plus between the e and the tan. So these are the product of two functions. So what is the rule of that? Derivative of the first times the second plus the second derivative times the first. Some people, if you look at your notes, if you look at other website, they do the opposite. Derivative second times the first plus derivative first times the second. As far as you have a plus here, it doesn't matter if you write this after and this you write before. Okay? Now, this is a simple full derivative, fx of derivative. Who remember the derivative e? The same. So derivative of the first is this much. But the power is derivative of 6x. We bring it down here. That's called derivative of the first. Times the second. Do not change anything in it. If you don't have space to continue, then go down. What's the derivative of tangent? We discussed in chapter 3. Is secant squared. You have to put secant squared. What's the angle here? 3x minus 5. By using chain rule, what is the derivative of the angle? If the angle was x, derivative is 1. We don't put it. But because the angle now is a bit complex, then derivative of the angle is 3x minus 5, which is what? 3. Times what? So derivative of the first, هذا كله, times the second, as it is, plus derivative of the second times the first. And what is the first? E to the power 3x squared minus 5. All right, gentlemen, ladies. Well, I could give you an extra rule, not in the notes. I would love to bring in the exams, but probably I can't. Let's suppose we are having a function called y, square of x times sine x times e to the power x. So how many functions are there? 3. This is nice if you like to follow up with me. Derivative of the first, we all know, times both, plus derivative of the second, times the rest, plus derivative of the third. It is the same because derivative of x is 1, times the rest. You don't see that in your notes, but why not? Stretch yourself, all right? These are all questions, are all about product rule. And it has embedded something inside them called chain rule. Now, let me show you the following. Let's go number 4. Take a deep breath. Y equals 3x squared over sine 2x. What is this function? Is it something multiplied or divided? Yes, it's multiplied. So what happens when we have a rule called it has division? It's very simple, straightforward. Actually, it's the same music. Derivative of the first or the top times the bottom. There it was plus. Here you must remember minus. Derivative of the denominator or the second. Cosine 2x. And derivative of the angle is 2 because sine is cosine. Alright? Times the top or the first. And all divided by whatever the denominator will stay. شنو في هون? We put here. But remember, something you will forget. The denominator must be squared. Alright, gentlemen? So simply, this method, if I call this u, and if I call the denominator as v, the derivative of the top times the second minus derivative of the denominator or the second times the top. And don't forget, the denominator was called v, so v squared. Some people like to have it as simplified. All right, y equals u over v. The derivative of u is derivative of the top times the denominator minus derivative of denominator times the top, the numerator. All divided by the denominator square. And guess what? This is called division rule. In chapter 5, we give it a name, quotient rule. Quotient means division. So you can call it division rule or quotient rule. It doesn't matter. All right, guys, ladies, why don't we have more examples? By the way, when you go to class with your teacher will do more questions live. So you should not worry about that, oh, I don't get it from the first time. It's okay. But don't forget, solving the lecture notes is the most important thing, because that will give you a real practice. All right? Okay. Let's have some simple question for you. I don't want to go to hard ones yet. F of x equals, what do you like to put? Okay. Len 5x squared minus 8. Cool? No problem. Divided by, Ya Allah, 3x squared. These are divided. Some smart people will say, why don't I take this one up and I make it product? It's correct, but I don't advise, because you will make mistakes in many little details. If it was given to you division, do it division, because I need to make sure that you understand. If I give it to you multiplication, just do the multiplication. Okay? This topic you will be tested as a quiz. You'll be given a question and 4 answers. Your job is to have a scratch paper, solve it, keep it, because maybe you got the right answer or maybe you got the wrong answer while your process is correct. So we'll talk about that during the classes. So the derivative of that, big line. What is the derivative of len? We all know the same thing you put down, and the derivative of the denominator is 10x. You put it up. Okay, gentlemen? Ladies, don't forget you multiply by the denominator. That's all what you need to do. And don't forget my minus. What is the derivative of the denominator? It is itself. Exactly the same, but the derivative of the power 6x. So how do you say that? 6x times e to the power. So you don't change anything. Alright? Times what? Times whatever in the numerator. So do not change it. So derivative of the numerator times the denominator minus derivative of the denominator times the numerator. You don't like numerator denominator? Bast maqam. You don't like this one? Okay. Derivative of the first times the second minus derivative of the second times the first. Alright? Something left we didn't do. You should take the denominator and square it. If I tell you simplify, you should be able to simplify and expand this one. If you wish to write it again, nice and neat, you see, this is up, down, down. So I can put like this. I can write it 10x e 3x squared divided by, that's for this, minus 6x e 3x squared len. If you wish to put dot, I don't mind. But the game is here. This is the click. What is e to the power 3x squared? What is some people do not understand how to help yourself with that. Some people say 6, and I don't know what to do. 2 times 2, or 2 plus 2, maybe 2 times 2. My advice to you, don't think like this. Multiply it in your brain by itself twice. 3 times 3 is 9. X squared, or 3 and 5. You always what? When you multiply, you add the power. Yes. Oh, you don't understand. Let me give you that. 5x to the power 3 all to the power 4. Let's see. Did I say something right or wrong? 5 to the power 4 means what? 25 times 25, 625. What is x to the power 3 to the power 4? We multiply them. We don't put 7. So remember, here is tricky. Whether you add them up or you multiply them. But, all right? So, to make it simple, my advice to you, when you, to the power 4, you just 3 times 4 is 12. Remember this one. Here, where did the 4 come from? 2 times 2. You don't add. So your answer is supposed to be 9x to the power 4. But if you tell it to somebody who's not in the class, he will not follow up with us. One more. A to the power 5 all to the power 2. Do I say a to the power 7 or do I say a to the power 10? 10. Just make sure that it's good to know these things. If you don't want to know it, it's your business. So it's a 9 x squared, you multiply them out, it's a 4. All right, gentlemen? So that's called quotient rule. One last rule in chapter 5. Suppose you see something like that. How do we take derivative of something like that? That's crazy. We cannot put 4 brackets. It's even crazier. So what do? Let me show you the method. I hope you like it. Think of that before you do it, like the question is like this. What's the derivative of that? Oh, look at it. It's basic, you know it. We bring the 4 down, the x to the power 3, and whatever derivative of x is 1. But we never do that. Because we take it frankly, it's easy, common sense. Why should I do that? I just put it like this, right away. Same thing in that. You bring the 4 down, whatever inside the bracket, I never changed it, remember? But the power will be less by 1. And the derivative inside the bracket, oh, it's worth it. So 6x squared is a 12x minus 0 actually. So no need to worry about it. Very simple, very straightforward. Some people don't see this very clearly. So it's better that you can see it now. Maybe my method is nice, maybe other people is better. I don't know. You just learn it the way you wish. But maybe my advice, do more. What is the name of that? Well, actually, this is called chain rule. Chain rule, simply, if you have a function called u of v. So what is the derivative of that function? Is the derivative of u whatever inside the bracket times the derivative of the inside times. Some people say, I don't understand. Okay, sure. Let me give another example. Number 7. F of x equals sine x to the power 7. Power 7. All right? And now remember, from math 1, this is the same as that. If you don't remember, you messed up the question. خربت السؤال. So what is the derivative of that? The same idea. Bring the 7 down, power 6. Whatever under the power, do not even do anything about it. And the derivative of the sine, derivative of the inside, take it out, cosine x. And guess what? What is the derivative of x? 1. Should you put it? It's up to you. Does it make sense? So, ladies and gentlemen, in mathematics, we always write the first highest power last. Because the cosine is power 1. Can I write it before or after? It doesn't make a difference. Like 2 times 3 is 6. How about 3 times 2? Also 6. So it doesn't make a difference. Let's take another example. Y equals ln 6x minus 5. And maybe I put it like that. All right? My advice to you, switch the root into a power so you can see it. How? We know the power is called square root. So ln and the function 6 minus 5, all the power half. Look, the same. So what is derivative? Bring the power down, whatever inside, keep it as it is, whatever. And what's the power? Minus 1. And then the derivative of the inside, take it out, multiply by. And it is 6x minus 5 because it's ln, and the derivative denominator is 6. You would wish to simplify, I would advise you to go for that. Because you never know how in the exam they write it down. What's half minus 1? Minus half. When you take it down, it would look like this. Half, you have a 2 here. You have 1 and you have 6. Oh, this is already down anyway. Okay. So remember, lucky you, all of these come in the denominator with the 2, except the 6. Oh, sir, but you forgot to simplify. Yes, I know that. In a quiz, you will see that answer. You will not see that. Even if you get it right and you are 100%, you should be able to simplify that part further and simplify. Maybe some of you will say, but sir, you know what? You can do this for me instead of the half? Yes, I can. You know it. All right? Let me give you something a little bit tricky. Y equals len square root of 3 minus 5x. All these questions are called chain rule. Chain rule could be very high level or could be simple level like that. So I'm not sure what to do next, but the square root, I can make it as a power. This power is not for all. Different from this one. This power is for all. So the derivative of that is simple. Len, whatever comes with the len here, throw it down. Whatever. Okay. So it's a 3x minus 5. Oops, I wrote it backwards. 3 minus 5x all to the power half. You can put square root, I know. What's the derivative of the power? What's the derivative of that? Half. Whatever inside do not touch, because the power will be half minus 1. And whatever the derivative of the inside, it's a negative 5, because the 3 is 0. Why don't I leave it that way? You could, but be smart. When I say be smart, you have to push it. How? You know 3x minus 5 is a square root. You know minus, you cannot leave it that way. Impossible, not acceptable. You lose marks. So what do? Minus half will break down to half. So 3 minus 5x power half. Half is 5 anyway, square root. You got here a 2. Don't forget about my 2. And you have here negative 5. You remember from math 1 that x times square of x times square of x is an x. Square of 5 times square of 5 is a 5. So what is square root of pi times square root of pi? It's a pi. Alright? As far as the ones are the same. So what is the square root of 3 minus 5x for 3 square root minus 5x? It is 3 minus 5x. Leave my 5 alone and leave my 2 alone. And actually, I don't need to expand the bracket. You want, do it alone. I don't care. That's not the point. All right, gentlemen. In today's topic, I covered everything related to quotient rule, product rule, and chain rule. Do you think you really understand that? I doubt it. Maybe 50-60%. Make sure you pay attention to your instructor in that or in your professor in the class. If he solved right with him, don't put the phone next to you and he's showing the lecture and you're just sleeping, put it like this, just to prove you having attended. When you go next year, you need it a lot. Derivative and integration, you need calculus. When you go to degree in math classes, you will tell your teacher, I don't know how to do it. He will tell you, but didn't you take it in math 127, math 115? Now what's your reply? You'll be embarrassed. So watch out. He may not be happy. Because everything math you take in engineering will depend on these little details. Believe it or not, have a nice day. Take care of it. God bless you.